Hello and welcome to my first tier list video. This is Crimzon, and today we are talking about Hellraiser, a series that is near and dear to my heart. It's easily one of, if not my favorite horror movie series. It's definitely a close second, and this is why I decided to start with this series. So, let's get started. So before we begin, a brief history. Hellraiser was started in 1987, written and directed by Clive Barker, based on the novella The Hellbound Heart from 1986, written by, well, Clive Barker. Well, if it's anyone you want directing a movie based on a novel, it's the guy who wrote it. Anyway, I have not personally read it, but from what I understand, it's a bit different from the movie, but only slightly. The movie took the character Pinhead, which was only a minor role, and made him the main villain. And also, apparently, in the novel, Pinhead was described as being androgynous and more woman-like as opposed to the male version in the movies. Nonetheless, the movie was a commercial success, ended up producing 10 more movies. So let's go through them one by one, giving my opinion and how each one ranks on the tier list. Which reminds me, before we begin, I should point out that these are only my opinions. And if you like something I hate, that's cool. If you hate something I like, that's cool. I'm not a critic or a journalist, so I'm not going to judge you or call you a loser for simply having an opinion different from mine. Now, how this is going to work is... Sorry. How this is going to work is, and this is going to work for all the videos, I'll give the movie my rank, and then I'll briefly explain the plot of the movie. So, warning, spoilers ahead. Now, Hellraiser, easily an S rank, obviously. It's a masterpiece. It came out in 1987. A guy named Frank Cotton buys the Lament configuration, which is the box that summons the Cenobites, who are demons, or as they say, they're angels to some, demons to others. So Frank opens the box, and out comes the Cenobites. They tear him apart, but somehow parts of him survive by falling through the floor. His brother Larry and his wife Julia move into Frank's house. They find his stuff, but now Frank it's revealed Julia cheated on him before her and Larry's marriage. Larry injures himself, blood falls on the floor, revives Frank. Then Julia finds Frank and agrees to help him by bringing people for him to kill. Kirsty, who's Larry's daughter, discovers Frank, gets the box, takes it. She summons the Cenobites and agrees to bring him Frank, the Cenobites Frank, sorry. And she eventually does. Kirsten eventually has to send the Cenobites back to hell, and the end. So, when I saw this back in junior high for the first time, I was blown away personally, because it was different from all the normal horror films that I'd seen, which were all pretty much teen slashers. This was dark. It was gloomy. I loved it. The special effects also were some of the most amazing parts about this. I thought they were awesome and so detailed for their time. Anyway, now for Hellraiser 2, which is also an S rank, and personally, even better than the first one. It released a year later in 1988. This is obviously, since I put it before, this is going to be my most favorite in the entire series. It picks up immediately after the first one. Kirsty finds herself in the hospital. The main doctor there is obsessed with the occult, and somehow he's able to convince the cops to deliver the bed that Julia had died on in the first one to his house. So he uses a patient, a mental patient, to unalive himself on the bed. I think that's the safest way I can say that here on YouTube. And then brings Julia back. Then, using another patient at the hospital, a mute girl who does nothing but solves puzzles all day, he uses that girl to solve the lament configuration. Eventually, the doctor and Julia, they go to hell. He becomes a Cenobite. Ends up killing the other Cenobites, but not before Kirsty manages to remind them after she finds a picture that looks oddly enough like the Cenobite. It's a picture of a soldier, and gives it to him, and that reminds him that he was human. And in fact, they were all human. But yeah, the doctor kills him shortly after that. Kirsty and the mute girl, I don't forgot her name, but they end up defeating him. They escape hell, close up the portal, the end. Yeah, like I said, this is a masterpiece, like the first one, but even better. Now, as I said, Pinhead and the others are revealed to be former humans, and in fact, Pinhead's origins are going to be fully revealed in the next one. There are comics, people, comics, that reveal the origins of the other ones. However, let's talk about the comics after this, shall we? Now for the third one, Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. Released in 1992. Ooh, this is a little hard, but B tier. It's not great, but not horrible. I mean, going in with a name like Hell on Earth, I personally expected hordes of demons invading Earth and Pinhead burning the world down or something like that. Now, in fairness, the Cenobite, specifically Pinhead, does get loose and goes nuts. It just wasn't in the way I was expecting. It takes place, I don't know, months, maybe years after the first one, and a hotshot rich kid buys the tower thing from at the end of the second movie, which has the lament configuration inside of it. Soon, it gets taken by one of the dude's ex-girlfriends. Pinhead is free from the tower and goes on a spree killing spree killing as many people as it can. Then a reporter has to stop him. She is thankfully helped by a ghost, the ghost of a guy named Elliot Spencer, aka Pinhead. Yep. Apparently, at the end of the second movie, after being seemingly killed by the Doctor Cenobite, after Kirsty reminded him that he was being human, they split apart. Elliot and Pinhead. His ghost got sent to his own personal limbo. And Pinhead, his evil side, his id, I think is the technical term, it gets trapped in the tower. But yeah, he ends up helping her. She solves the box This allows Elliot's ghost to come into her realm or his realm or whatever, and he fuses back with Pinhead. He's able to hold Pinhead back as much as he can, while the reporter, she solves the box and sends him back to hell. Then the end of the movie, she puts the box in a concrete thing, in a thing of concrete. Some time passes. A building is now erected in its place. It shows people going in, and then it is revealed pictures all over the walls of the building, which resembles the box, and boom, it ends. Like I said, this movie is okay. It just has a bit of a misleading movie. Personally, I would have called it something like Hellraiser 3, Hell Unleashed, or Unbound, or something like that, but that's me. And now on to Hellraiser Bloodlines, coming out in 1996, and this is going to be incredibly controversial, but S tier. Yeah, you heard me, S tier. All you critics out there, I don't care what other people think. But yeah, I love this movie. So this movie begins in the future of 2127. Our main character, Dr. Paul Merchant, who is revealed to be a descendant of the original creator of the Lament configuration. He holds himself on the space station after sending all the workers home so he can summon the Cenobites so he can destroy them once and for all. Until he's interrupted by the military, who want to know why he decided to hold himself alone on his own space station. He then tells the story of two of his ancestors, the first one being the said inventor of the box, Le Merchants, something like that. It's a French name. A French toy maker, to be exact, from the 18th century, who is commissioned by a wealthy aristocrat and famed occultist to make the box. I had the name here. I'm reading from a script. You can already tell I'm having trouble reading stuff. I do have ADHD, so I'm sorry if I stutter and stammer a lot. But anyway, I couldn't pronounce the guy's name, but apparently they derived inspiration for him from the Marquis de Sade and another guy back in the day who was a serial killer. But anyway, this guy wants the box, wants him to create the box, so Le Merchant delivers it, and he decides to spy on him because he's wondering what he wants to do with the box. He discovers him summoning a demon to possess the body of a peasant girl that the occultist and assistant have just killed. Realizing his mistake, he draws up plans for a device that can reverse the effects of the first box. He then returns and tries to steal the original box, but he is caught and killed. Fast forward to the 90s, we go to the building that was featured at the end of the movie. Here is John Merchant, the second guy. And we see him going against the Cenobites, as well as Angelique, who was the demon summoned back in the 18th century. John has been trying to finish the invention that his ancestor came up with to destroy the gates of hell using his ancestor's blueprints, even though he really doesn't know what it does. He tries to activate to destroy the Cenobites, but he fails and he dies. Fast forward back to the future. Paul manages to trick the Cenobites, who are now loose on the space station. He leaves, he turns the station into a giant cube, and boom! kills the Cenobites, and presumably destroys hell itself in the process. Like I said, I like this movie. I think it's awesome. I love it, love it, love it. Now from here, the movies kind of stop following any continuity. They sort of do. They're more anthology movies after this. However, I must mention the comic books again. Apparently, the creator of the box in the comics had been established already, but the toy maker, Philippe Le Merchant, that's his name. Yeah, I wrote it down. Yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. He was much different in the comics, and instead of a toy maker, he was actually a full-on serial killer. Now, some people might prefer that version, but I rather like this change because it puts a twist on the whole box thing and makes it, well, an unattended accident. And this movie showed its family trying to correct their mistake. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. We will still talk more about the comics afterwards, at the end. Now for Hellraiser Inferno, which came out in 2000. I give this an A tier. So this movie is about a detective who is surprised, not a good person. He cheats on his wife with a hooker, does drugs, is a big bully. He investigates what appears to be a ritual killing, and at the scene, he finds the lament configuration. He solves it and starts having hallucinations. Continues to investigate the killings, which leads to a murderer calling himself the Engineer, which is a callback to the original antagonist in the Hellbound Heart book. The detective soon finds out that the whole thing has been an even bigger hallucination. He was actually in limbo, and the serial killer he was chasing represented his own sin. And the child that was supposedly kidnapped by the killer, well, he represents his own innocence. He is then finally sentenced to hell fully. Sentenced to suffer in hell for all of his sins. This movie is pretty good in my opinion. It's a fun detective story. It keeps you guessing. And I definitely recommend it. Now moving on to Hellraiser Hellseeker, which came out in 2002 and D tier. Look, they tried. It's essentially a repeat of Inferno, but not nearly as good. So, a man named Trevor and his wife Kirsty are driving. Yes, that Kirsty from the OG movie. Yeah, apparently she got married. Anyway, her and her husband Trevor are driving, get into a car accident. Kirsty seemingly dies. Trevor goes on like nothing really happens. He goes to work, and it's revealed that he was cheating on her with his kinky-ass boss, then his neighbor, then some acupuncture chick at some point. Then it's revealed that he was conspiring to kill Kirsty with his friend to get her inheritance. Anyway, in addition to all this, he has hallucinations. Yeah, I might as well cut my losses and spoil it. The whole thing. He's been in limbo, just like the other guy. Although this one, to give them some credit, they make it interesting. It turns out that before all of this, like I said, he was conspiring to kill her. He tries to do this by, he gives her the lament configuration at first, who he gets from like a homeless looking dude, like in the originals. Fun fact, the guy that sells them it is actually Doug Bradley as well, the guy that plays Pinhead, so he does two dual roles. It's hard to tell that it's him because he has a beard and long hair, but yeah, it's him. But he buys it for her, forces Kirsty to open it, which she does, and Pinhead appears, and he tries to take her, as he has been waiting years to do it, but she offers him a deal. She will give him 5 souls, and in return, he lets her go, and Pinhead accepts, and she does just that. The 3 girls that was revealed to be that he cheated with, she kills them. The friend that was conspiring with Trevor, he kills him too, so that makes 4, and Trevor makes 5, whom is revealed. She kills him by shooting him in the head while they're driving, and that was the result of the wreck in the beginning. So we cut back to that scene, and she gets out, and she swims to shore, and she tells the cops that he. Yeah, I can't say it because of stupid YouTube. Free speech is truly fucking dead. Watch it and see. Anyways, she walks off with the lament configuration at the end. Yeah, the end. Yeah, this movie was a freaking mess, but they tried. I probably won't watch it again unless I'm just really stinking bored. Now for Hellraiser Deader. Weird title. C. Releasing in 2005. This is about a reporter named Amy Klein. She investigates a cult in Romania after receiving a video of the cult doing, well, I can't say. Like I said, YouTube. Just watch the movie. Anyway, she travels to find the cult, and along the way finds the lament configuration. Eventually, she finds the cult, meets with the leader, and it turns out he's a descendant of the original creator of the box. Yeah, they bring that family back in this movie. That's neat. Anyway, he does something to Amy, causes her to enter a dreamlike state, and eventually she wakes up, summons the Cenobites, and they come and take everyone out, and even tries to take Amy, but she sacrifices herself so that Pinhead doesn't take her. Like, what? Yeah, it's freaking confusing. I feel like they were out of ideas at this point, but all in all, it's not a terrible movie, and I mean, it's got Carrie Wurr in it. I hope I pronounced that last name right. I looked up to how to pronounce it. That's how the internet said it, the voice thingamajiggy. But yeah, it's got Carrie Wurr as Amy, so yeah, let's just call it a win. I like Carrie. She's like super hot. But anyway, oh my god, Hellraiser Hellworld, an absolute freaking F. God, I hate this movie so fucking much. If I had one word to describe this movie, I'd simply say diarrhea. So, this movie's a mess. So, in this movie, a game is sweeping the internet called Hellworld. We don't really see them playing it all that much, except for, like, in the beginning, and I'd really hardly call it a game, but tons of people are into it, and it's even claimed live of one really obsessed fan. Well, that dude's friends, despite losing him to him, decided to just keep playing it. I mean, whatever. They won an invitation to a party thrown by some rich dude who is, I guess, really into the game as well, or claims to be. However, I thought he was like the creator, but apparently that's not true, because he doesn't make that clear. It doesn't really make it clear. He doesn't really give a story at first until you find out who he is. But Yeah, it turns out the whole party was a trap to lure this specific group of friends that's featured in it. So the guy that invited them all, can take revenge on them, as he is the father of Adam, the friend of theirs that died at the beginning of the film. So he initially drugs them all, and they all hallucinate and start falling prey to this guy. Three of them actually die. He buries them, and he buries the other two that survive, and he leaves them. And he escapes after finally getting his revenge, or thinks he does. But the two that actually survive end up finally getting dug up after they trace like the cell phone, because he gives them each cell phones to communicate with one another, and he has them in the coffins with them. Like I said, this movie's fucking stupid. This movie was such a chore to get through. Anyway, the guy escapes, thinking, I got my revenge. He has the actual box with him, and he opens it. The Cenobites come, they kill him. The end. I apologize. This movie. I apologize for stuttering so much with this one. This movie was such a fucking mess. I hate it so much. And to make matters worse, this film as a whole is also misleading, because when you read the cover of the film, it says evil goes online, but the film doesn't do anything computer-wise. Like I said, it shows them playing a game sort of at the beginning, but that's it. And that's actually a great concept when you think about it, because the internet, let's be real, is full of degenerates. It's 99% degeneracy. So Pinhead would have a fucking field day harvesting souls from the internet. And to make matters even worse, the film has Lance Henriksen as the main guy. So that was a waste of a cool actor on this crap fucking movie. Ugh. And now let's talk about even more crap. Hellraiser Revelations. Coming out in 2005, F rank, obviously. I'm not kidding. If Hellworld was diarrhea, this is bloody diarrhea. So this film is the first film featuring a new actor for Pinhead. However, that wasn't necessarily the reason why this movie was bad. I mean, he was a bad actor, in my opinion. He did not do a good job as Pinhead, but that wasn't why this movie failed. It's just a crap movie. Okay, so it tells the story of two dudes going to Mexico. They find the box, they open it. One of the dudes is taken at first, but his friend brings him back to life, like Julia was brought back in the second movie. He ends up killing his friend, taking his skin, travels back to try and get the box, blah, blah, blah. Which I guess was mailed back to the family along with footage of the vacation. I don't know. So he holds the family at gunpoint, summons the Cenobites. They come, and one of them is his friend, who actually got reborn as a Cenobite. Shenanigans ensue. The end. This was the most painful movie to watch. And it's not just the worst Hellraiser film. It's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Seriously. If I could make a list of, like, just worst films in general, this is going to go on it. Very minimum top 10. And thankfully, I never have to watch this fucking film again. I'm so glad. Now, Hellraiser Judgment. An A tier. Yeah, thank God, a good movie again. I love this film so much. And to make matters... To make things weird... Sorry, I was going to say worse, sorry. This was written and directed by the same guy that wrote Revelations, whose name, by the way, is Gary J. Tunincliffe? Am I saying this right? Yeah, Tunincliffe. Yeah, he just wrote the last movie. He didn't direct that one, but anyway, the director also ends up starring as the best character in this movie, and that's one of the demons. But let's discuss what the movie is about. So, the world is changing, obviously, and people apparently don't use the lament configuration as much anymore, as said by Pinhead, who has another new actor and is much better this time around. The Auditor, another demon who's played by Gary, and from a different order of demons called the Stygian Order. Also, this is one of the things I liked. They established like there are different orders of demons in hell, but and they get souls differently by sending out letters to prospective sinners. The Auditor acts as an interviewer. The person comes to it. They tell all their sins, and he types it up on a typewriter. A guy named the Assessor eats the pages, and vomits it up for the jury to eat, which is in the form of 3, like, faceless, skinned women. They determine if they're guilty. The person is guilty, then he's processed and skinned, and there you have it. Very interesting. So now the main story, which is a detective, as he and his partner investigate a series of murders by a guy calling himself the Preceptor. It's eventually discovered that the killer actually ends up being the detective. Apparently, after coming home from a military service, he finds out his wife had an affair, and he goes freaking crazy and kills the man who cheated on his wife, and soon more people who all broke the 10 Commandments. Yeah, he kind of goes Bible crazy. Now, at some point before all this, I probably should have did a lot better, telling this in a better order. Sorry, once again, ADHD. Before this, he actually, the detective actually stumbles on the house and gives an interview. He's reviewed for his sins, but his papers end up being so bad, the assessor vomits before he can even finish. And they attempt to skin him, but he ends up escaping and takes one of the boxes. Anyway, so yeah, we fast forward. He's been discovered by this other chick who was assigned to him as a new partner. They stumble upon his warehouse. He knocks her out. His former partner comes to the rescue after realizing that he is the Preceptor, after just doing some logical deduction. The detective holds him at gunpoint. He gets his wife in, because he calls her in. He holds them both at gunpoint, and then has the wife summon the Cenobites. Now, he thinks that he can trade their souls for his, not realizing that, no, that's not how this freaking works. And that's what the Auditor tells him. He says, no, you've sinned a great deal. You have to pay for the consequences. Yeah, I can't do a British accent, but, yeah, so yeah, he tells them, yeah, you're gonna, you need to suffer. But then, all of a sudden, an angel intervenes. She had actually intervened before, telling them that they need to let him go. Well, she comes in again and tells them, yeah, his sins, while they are great, and he will be judged later, and he tells the detective that, But yeah, she wants him freed so he can continue his work, because his sins still benefit heaven somehow, because he's killing sinners. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. But so Pinhead, she says, okay, as you wish. He sends him back, and as soon as he goes back to the room, the other chick that he knocked out, she is waiting for him to wake up, and she shoots him dead. Yeah, awesome. Then it cuts back to hell, and the angel is still there. She says, "You knew that was gonna happen," and he says, "Yeah, so what if I did? Who cares?" She gets mad, threatens him, and he takes great offense to the threat, so he kills her. Yeah, he kills the angel. Yeah, I guess he kills her. I don't know. Can you kill an angel? Or will she just go back to heaven? Either way, heaven punishes him in the worst way possible. He's banished from hell, and he's mortal again. Irony. Now he has to suffer for real, and this time it's actually going to hurt. He's human again. Yeah, anyway, I love this movie so freaking much. So many people hated this. They called it a 7 ripoff. And, yeah, I guess sort of. It very much has a similar plot with the killer killing people over sins. But I still loved it regardless. And I liked how they introduced the heaven aspect, which was a decision on the director's part. And basically saying, I'm not super religious, the director said, but if you're going to tell a series about hell, I think at some point you need to introduce hell. But anyway, highly recommend this movie. Don't listen to the haters. Now we move on to the very last one, the 2022 remake, which I'm going to give it a C. This movie, I was expecting to hate, but I ended up liking it. They change a lot of things. For one, Pinhead is a female now, like she is supposed to be, or supposedly in the original. The summoning method and outcome is different. So, the beginning of film, a rich guy holds a party and lures a guy to solve the box, which is vastly different. It starts as a box, but goes through, I think, 5 changes. That's different configurations, which is really, really freaking cool. I liked this new element. I can't remember how many. I think it's 5, but you have to get 5 people to sacrifice as sacrifices to solve it. Then they're killed by the Cenobites. Then at the final configuration of the box, the Cenobites come and grant the person who originally opened it a wish. The rich guy asks to experience new sensations, but the wish backfires, of course, and the Cenobites attach a device that just makes him suffer, and he is stuck in the house. We cut to another group of people. The main character, a woman, and her boyfriend steal the box. Shenanigans ensue. People start dying. The woman tracks down info on the box and leads back to the rich guy's house, and is revealed the boyfriend was actually working for the rich guy. All in all, the woman gets an opportunity to make the wish at the end, decides not to, as she knows that the demons, they're just going to screw up the wish. Kind of like Wishmaster in, the Wishmaster movies. The movie ends, but not before it shows the rich guy. Forgot to mention, he gets to make a new wish. He asks for ultimate power, so they grant it to him. He is sent to hell. And at the end of the movie, it's revealed him being changed into a new Cenobite. And yeah, the end. Yeah, like I said, the movie isn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I was expecting to hate it, like I said. I recommend at least a one-time watch, and you can decide for yourself if you like it. But that's gonna be the end of my video. That's the whole series. Up till this point, we don't know if they're gonna make more. They might make a series. I think I heard talk. I've read about. Don't know if that's true. I'm not sure if the remake made enough money to warrant that. But before we go, I did mention that I was going to talk a little bit about the comics. There are a lot of comics, and I recommend you read as much as you can, much as you can find. They're great. Apparently, the origins of the other three Cenobites, the Chatterer, Butterball, and the female Cenobites, I think she's called Deep Throat, but that's never been established. I tried looking up to see which individual comics those origins are in, but I couldn't pinpoint them because I haven't read those specific comics. I need to find them. They're just amongst the many comics I haven't read. I've got a few of them, actual physical copies. I guess I'm just gonna have to find digital copies. You can find digital copies if you know where to look. But yeah, I suggest you go out and read them, find them, read them, and see if you like them. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment, rate, subscribe if you like my videos. And yeah, that's the end of my first video. See ya.